Engage.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am your father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
What's up, savages? And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where you get your weekly dose of pop culture, politics, and futurism. I am your host, the formerly mentioned James Salazar, a.k.a. The Media, the new media, the true media, the citizen media. It is now the time for the citizen media. We have what you call biased or news that take a side. Now, we really can't discern where people are coming from. No, we can't discern clearly what they're coming from, and we go to those news sources that align up with our political beliefs. But that shouldn't be the news. The news should be unbiased, clear, thoughtful. Maybe not so thoughtful, because it all depends on how the person thinks, and that's the problem. Many people think they're being biased, but that's not how their mind works. You know, if you're conservative, your mind works conservatively. If you are liberal, your mind works liberally. Liberally works out of a basis of left values and thoughts. So when you say something, it seems to be the norm for you. And that's not always good if you just want to hear the news without any buddy trying to sell you something, right? So it's time for the citizen. So if they're going to give their opinion, if they're going to talk about what they think the motives are, well, they have now came out of the realm of what the media should be. And now, if it's their opinion, well, your opinion is worth just as much as theirs. So why don't you start your own news service? Why don't you start your own way of seeing things? Since we can't get straight news, and biased news seems to win the day, then why can't you give your bias? Right? And this is why the citizen news anchor, the guy on the street recording and commenting, seems to be more valid, because he's not in this elite, even with left or right. The citizen media is giving you stuff from the street. It's not just elitist in their broadcast studios anymore. And you're going to see a lot of this come up. You're going to see those news sources like Fox News, and you're going to see CNN and MSNBC they're going to make their straight left, and why Fox make their straight right, and they're going to back their president, who they think should be president. They're going to be all about it. And you're going to be misinformed. Because within the biased news anchoring, you get exaggeration on who they like and who they don't like. And you're going to get misinformed, because you're going to get the sin of omission. Who the hell is that? You're going to get the sin of omission, not being forthcoming with evidence or information that puts their person in a bad light they picked, or the person, or good news that makes their person that they don't like look good. So you're not going to get the straight news, and that's what the citizen news force is about. So expect this to happen very clearly in this new election cycle. For sure. Just a little bit on pop news. Basically, I'm watching the Star Trek TV show. It's pretty good. It's very different from the Star Trek, and this is on CBS and on their paid service. You can get like $5 a month, $5.99 a month with commercials, and you can get some good programming that doesn't come on their regular TV show, regular channel. And they got a lot of good things. They got the Star Trek Discovery, which finished its second season about 4 months ago. Now we're in Picard. We're getting towards the end. We're in the 8th episode. Very different. But the backdrop they set in it is super interesting to see how this new, older Jean-Luc Picard is dealing with certain things, certain shit that happened, certain shit that went down in the Federation. Discovery is going to come back after that, and their season finale was super great. Their second season was very interesting. Both seasons are interesting. It sort of screwed the timeline, but at the end of the second, it made everything make sense. And they had, for the sake of the universe, they had to jump 1,000 years into the future. The Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, the USS Discovery and its crew. And it's going to be very exciting to see what the writers create to make the 1,000-year jump to the future look more advanced than what they are already showing in the TV show. So they're going to have to put their minds to it to make it very interesting, right? And they just greenlighted 2 more shows. One called Section 31, Section 52. I forget it. It is the Star Trek. What do you call it? Federation secret covert organization that does not exist, but tends to put its fingers into situations that they feel that could destroy or end the Federation, and they usurp certain laws and values that the Federation traditionally holds to make sure that the Federation survives. So it's a very interesting take, and it'd be very exciting to see that. And then they got this Star Trek Lower Decks. So we're going to see, which I assume by the title, we're going to see how the nobodies are. And you know the nobodies, right? They're less heroic. They're less responsible. And they get themselves into drama just like everybody. You know, you go to work. If you worked for, just like going to work, you know all the drama that happens at work. So I'm pretty sure that happens on a starship in the lower decks, not on the command deck. And we're going to get some how people live in the Federation who decisions are not so consequential as Jean-Luc Picard or Captain Kirk. So it'll be very interesting to see those shows. They've been green-lighted. They're probably going to come around next year for sure. Hopefully early next year, not late next year. Hopefully they don't put it to 2023, because we all could die by the coronavirus by now. And speaking of the coronavirus, it seems like people are going crazy. I think less than 15 people have died of the coronavirus in the United States. And people are going ape shit. There is literally 18,000 deaths from the common cold since the beginning of this year, but nobody cares. They're concerned that this new virus that has a 2% mortality rate. That means out of 100 people who get it, only 2 people will die. And those mostly elderly people. And those are the people who died in the United States. Is actually quarantined into this senior place where the people are just passing it on to each other. So it's all quarantined, and all those people are dying in there because they're very old, and which is super unfortunate. But we need to have perspective. People are doing a run on food. People are closing their canceling their vacations. Government is overreacting like it always does. And what do we have to say for this? Let me tell you, if you're young, you're healthy, you will survive the coronavirus, and most likely you're going to get it. A Harvard professor said about 70% of the world will get the coronavirus. And we pretty much dodged a bullet because it's only a 2% mortality rate. It kills less people than the common cold, but it travels faster than the common cold. And in saying that, it still hasn't taken over the number of the common cold. We project that it will. So, in saying that, brain fart, we just need to have perspective on what it is and not try to ruin our economy because of it. You have plenty of people who bought all the masks, and it's going to be a problem if people try to stockpiling water because it's not an emergency, so people can get as much water as they want, and Costco's not looking at it like whatever. That guy seems to be thirsty. He doesn't know that 10 or 15 people are trying to get all the water at one shot because they think society is going to upheaval and there will be no water. And if they're right, well, we look stupid, but in saying that, I say that a lot, we need to have perspective. We're not going to die of this. Very few people are going to die of this. It's going to happen. But we dodged the bullet. That's right. We dodged the bullet because if it had a mortality rate of 20, 30, 40, 50%, we would be fucked royally. Because the problem with coronavirus makes it unique. Somebody's yelling in the back. Shut the hell up. I go on. The biggest problem. What the hell? They're trying to match me. I'm on the phone. I'm not on the phone. What was I saying? Yes, we dodged the bullet because if that mortality rate was 50%, we would have a big problem. And the big problem with coronavirus, and this is what I was trying to say before I got distracted by kids yelling. Oh my God, I forgot it already. We dodged a bullet. Follow my chain of thinking. We dodged the bullet. Oh my God. Shut up! I had to slay some children right now. So what I was saying, the mortality rate it was higher, would be screwed. Now here's the problem with coronavirus one more time while I have it in my head. You don't show symptoms till like 3 weeks later, so you probably hosed everybody up with a virus before, and you didn't even know it. Damn kids. So you're perfectly fine. You don't even know you got it. You're going to the movies. You're going to the market. You're touching some tomatoes. You're sneezing everywhere. You think you're fine. You think it's just a cough. And then suddenly 3 weeks, you're getting sick. But you gave it to everybody. And then 3 weeks later, they're going to get people sick. And they're going to get sick. And they didn't realize they gave it to a bunch of other people. This is the big problem with the coronavirus. You don't know you have it, and you don't know you're giving it. So you really need to stay away from people, even when you're well. And you shouldn't be around people who seem well. You don't know if they got it. That's the problem with the coronavirus. It's very hard to keep them from spreading. And we would be screwed if the mortality rate was like 30, 40, 50%. Forget about it. Half the world would be dead in a year. Yeah. Very disconcerting. I'm watching the Sabrina. I think Teenage Witch. It's very cool. Very demonic. They worship Satan, and it's very, the funny thing about it is that they interchange like God bless you and praise God and praise heaven with words of like praise Satan, and they say it so devoutly like a Christian would. So it's very entertaining, and the way they see things, it's very I like it very much. It's very campy, but it's super fun. And what else? I'm just beginning Altered Carbon. It doesn't seem as compelling as the first one. I like Mackie, but my mind is still used to the other character who played what's his name, Kavashi something, I don't know, Kavashi Kobash, whatever his name is. I will get the correct name. So I hold out on that. So, yeah, for sure. She's a valley girl, and there ain't no cure. So, I will hold my criticism or my critique for Altered Carbon quite, not yet. I don't know what I was saying. I watched a movie called Bad Batch, which, it has Jason Momoa in it, and it has Keanu Reeves, and who's the guy from what show? The famous comic actor played the Grinch, Jim Carrey. They're all in this apocalyptic world. It didn't go to video, but it was super entertaining. The girl actor is great. It's a world of cannibalism and incest, and it's terrible world that they live in, and this girl's trying to navigate through it. And it was super entertaining. Watch The Bad Batch. Also, I saw a good movie called Slow West. Very quaint movie. It has Michael Fassbender and the kid who plays Jay is pretty good. He seems so innocent, and he plays that very well. And it just tells a slow Western, but things that happen in it are very interesting. And what else do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk about today? Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are the only two people left into the election for the Democratic nominee. Elizabeth Warren left out. But she's playing the victim card, and she's saying the reason why she didn't get voted in because of male sexism and the patriarchy, and she's pretty much insulting her own voter base because they didn't pick her. But in fact, she was not appealing, and she was very troublesome. She wasn't clear on her message. She stole a lot of ideas from Bernie Sanders, and above all, the most of all, is that she committed the worst form of cultural appropriation. She stole money that belonged to Indians to go to school. She had less than 1% of Indian in her, and she appropriated their money. She never apologized, and she never gave back the money for her schooling. She should have never got it. And she said she thought she was an Indian. Did she look in the fucking mirror? Did she look in the fucking mirror? She is white as white bread could be. She knew. Don't tell me she thought she was an Indian. She saw a loophole in the statistics that if you have a little bit of Indian, there's money for you. And she took advantage of that. The worst form of a cultural appropriation is appropriating money that belongs to Native Americans. That should be unforgivable, but who knows? But she was a crap candidate. At least Bernie is consistent, and Joe has a history of serving in higher power with Barack Obama. So the top two front runners stayed the top two front runners. The biggest names stayed the biggest names. So no one should be surprised that none of these other people, like Kamala Harris, right? She's blaming race and men why she didn't get voted in as a nominee for the Democratic candidate. She's saying to her own voter place that you are white and sexist because a Republican won't vote for her no matter what she is because she's liberal. They don't need her to be black or a woman. They're not going to vote for her based on what she believes. So she's insulting her own base, which Democrats never get. She's insulting you, my friend. She's insulting the voter, the Democratic voter, saying that you are sexist and you're a racist. That's why I'm not in there. Not to say that she personally prosecuted and put more African Americans in jail than probably any prosecutor in California history. That might not be true, but it's up there. It's up there. She made her bones on sending black people to jail, as well as white and Hispanic, but majority of black people. She had no nonsense. She's a very strong prosecutor, and now she wants to say she's for everyone, for the whole people, and claim racism and claim over incarceration when she was the one that was over incarcerating. She was a crap candidate for the Democratic Party, and that's why she didn't win. So, I mean, I think this coronavirus could hurt if they can get people thinking emotionally and they can get people overreacting. I definitely see this being a problem for Donald Trump. If they can say, if they can have lines out there waiting for the corona vaccine, they can equate long lines with his administration as opposed to socialism. So, look, we have long lines already. We might as well bring in socialism. Look, these people don't have the money to pay for this. So, if we had a socialized country, we would be able to handle the load, which is a bunch of load of itself, a load of bullshit. Because we know just for basic services, there's lines across every socialized medicine in other countries. So, yeah, so it's going to be very exciting to see what happens with this new election cycle. And I just wanted to rant today. Actually, I'm on a new system called the Rodecaster with a Sony mic. And I hope you hear the difference. Please put in an email if you hear the difference. If there's anything that I said you did not like or you disagree with, please put an email at jamessalazarmedia@gmail.com. And if you want to follow me on any of the social media platforms, just type in James Salazar Media and I should come up. And we'll be coming with a new website, a new membership page for those who coach with me, and offering some coaching for everyone. And what else? Yeah, just keep in touch. I plan to do more podcasts, be more consistent with it. Because most of it I was doing out on my phone and, and miss opportune times. It's better to set up a studio and put your mic and your mixer where it's going to be and to devote time just to do it, to get it done. And it was very easy to get right before you here today to get it done and to speak my mind and my heart. And so we'll be coming with some coaching mentalities. We'll be coming with headlines from the world of futurism, and we will talk about some political shenanigans that will definitely come up in this new election cycle. So, my friends, when the storms of life come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall, take a look at the storm, and say what my sensei Jack Burton always says, give me your best shot. Strike the music.